So yes, I'm Minu and I'm here to, for presenting a session on resume writing. And a bit about me will come, on the way. So this is the agenda that I would like to go through. It's an introduction, the purpose of having a resume, some of the must-have, some of the optionals, an in-depth review, some draft that I've prepared. And the second part would be a resume review, actually. And I've got some resumes to review on the Google Drive. Thanks for handling that. And Q&A session would be like throughout. If anything pops up in your mind, please go ahead and shoot that out. Sure. And in here, this is a bit about me. As you can see, I'm shamelessly giving away that Python is my language of choice. As for my educational background, I have a master's in CS with a focus on AI. I've always been interested in the software computing side of things. Been working as a software engineer in Ericsson and TCS. Then I went ahead and got deep diving into the machine learning and AI field, starting with an internship at Genpact. Went on to be an AI fellow. Currently working as a machine learning engineer at a startup called Idea by Design, and as a research programmer at NCSA, that is for supercomputing applications. Well, I love to meet people and I love to learn new things. And I see conferences as the best blend of these two. And that's me at the GHE Grace Hopper Conference. It's the biggest tech conference for women. And as for the fun part of me, I'm an avid traveler. Turkey is in one of my checklists, and I'll be coming there soon. So that's a bit about me. If there's nothing else, we'll deep dive into the resume sessions. Can anyone tell me like what's the main, purpose of a resume? What does the main purpose of a resume? If anybody can unmute and shoot out an answer.
To introduce ourselves.
Cool. That's it. Yeah. Yes, you are presenting yourself in a piece of paper. Yes.
To just highlight our skills
Cool.
and educational background and stuff.
Nice. Nice. Yes. Highlight your strengths, your skills. True. Well, that sums up about it. It is to just introduce yourself and get the other person interested in you to get to your first round of interview. So it is not to land a job. It is not to, have a promotion, or it's not the end of the tunnel. It's just the first step. And having that first step, it gives that's, a recruiter screens thousands of resumes. So having that first step forward nicely is a big achievement, I would say. So yes, it highlights your strength, it sells your story, what makes you unique, like what it's hard to sum up your entire like 21 years into one page resume, but then highlight it and sell your story and say what makes you unique. That's what somebody is, hoping to catch on. That's what attracts a person to a job description or to a promotion, to some of that sort. So it should be like understandable by a recruiter, which could be not in your an expert in your field, and also should be understandable by a hiring manager who is an expert in your field. So that both these two tones of language should be there in a CV, which makes it a bit more complicated. A recruiter spends around 10 seconds just scanning your resume. If if by 10 seconds the recruiter is interested in the candidate, they read line by line. So capturing their attention in the first 10 minutes is a trick. Resume is not something, it gets revised often by multiple having option or having it reviewed by multiple people. So it gets refined and refined. It's not a one-step thing. It gets refined throughout. And yeah, keep it updated and treat it as an Instagram reel. It highlights you, it gets you what makes you unique, and puts your step forward. That's the main three thing. Cool. And going through the must-haves. So recruiters are very good at like remembering names. So they usually do searching by name. If they have like tons of resumes in their laptop or local device, it is a good practice to have your file name as your name. So that's why it is a good practice to have a first name underscore last name underscore resume, or some variation of that sort. Secondly, PDF is recommended. The Word documents, all these spacing issues are removed if you're sharing via PDF. Yet you can view it via mobile phones, laptop, 18-inch wide screens. Everything stays the same in PDFs. The language, English is recommended. Short, crisp sentences to the point. There is a name, of course. It should be, if if a resume, like a printed page, your name should be at the top, at the center, bold, and all caps. Nobody should be confused. Like, nobody should have to scan your resume, like, who's this resume? Who am I referring to? That shouldn't be a question. So that's there, up the top, center, and bold. Contact info right next to the name, be it like a reachable phone number, a reachable email ID. Highly recommend a LinkedIn and a GitHub profile. For creative side of things, for a UX designer or a content writer, probably for a content writer, your blog would make sense more than a GitHub page. For a creative, web designer, UX designer, website would be, more recommended than a GitHub page. So that depends on your work style. The next would be a work experience. It should highlight your major contributions. It should be you that's in your resume. Even though, we all work in a collaborative, like team effort, you have to highlight what did you contribute to your team? Why are you part of the team in the first place? Like, you have contributed this much. That's why you're still part of the team, and mention that. Then comes the degree, the school, the year, and the degree name. And all this on one single page. That's what's recommended. We do have 2 pages of resumes is also fine if you have that much experience, but totally no more than 3. 3 pages of resume comes with like tons of experience. When you have 11 years of experience or something, maybe that's reasonable. I would highly recommend to put it in 1 page, because yes, its resumes are screened like less than 10 seconds. They don't want to go flipping through your resume pages. 1 is highly recommended, 2 is fine. Feel free to interrupt if there is any questions up front. Okay, cool. So let's dive into the optionals. This is ranked in the order of priority. It can go anyways. It also depends on what market you are in. So these, I wouldn't, say as a must-have. That's why it's an optional. And these rankings can also change depending on the market that you're in. Maybe for in India, the location is pretty would be highly ranked, because they would need local talents. Probably in a non-software industry where it is like construction or anything where you need field presence, location is also important. So these kind of rankings would change, but these are also optional in the category. Technical skill set, it is recommended. It can be a one section in your resume. It shouldn't be cluttered with, a list of words separated by commas. It should be like nicely organized. Let it be languages, maybe Python, Java, C++, Node.js. Write it in the order that you are most strong in. So your most strongest skill would come up front, and write it in that order. Then you go into the frameworks, and then you go into the OS. So distributions, Linux distributions. So let it be organized and not a list of words that's separated by commas. These are also useful for an ATS system. And what is the full form? ATS system, I guess It is, they match it via keyword. So these kind of technical skill set might be missed in your work description, because you would be writing like contributed to this technology in this fashion with this much amount of metrics. Those keywords might be missed out in these work description, but this would be definitely be there in your technical skill set. Comes at the second would be the location and state, location, city and state. The projects, of course, this would be specifically important for the new grads or somebody who's new to the field. They would always have projects to showcase their hands-on experience in that field. Everything should be data so that they know chronologically where they are, where this candidate, on what all channels this candidate walked through. So all these should be dated. Coursework, certifications. For PhD students, publications, patents, theses, all these would stand out. Volunteering activities, leadership skills. It would be preferably the last section of your resume to highlight all your technical skills. But then I am also a volunteer and I also have the skill set. I led the team. I went to a hackathon, participated in this, got this prize, so all those kind of things. This graphics is how you present your resume. A graphical resume makes sense if you're, especially in the creative side of things. If you're highly technical, like a software developer, always into coding, or someone like me who's always into machine learning, I have a very played resume. So that, as per the field, that changes. Summary, if you have space, you can highlight who you are in 2 to 3 sentences. It would be something like, if it would be like a machine learning, if it would be me, it would be machine learning engineer interested in solving complex problems through providing simple solutions, or something like interested in the field of NLP. So a brief 2 to 3 sentences that kind of highlights who as a person you are. Yeah, questions?
You can also use
I'm
the chat
audible.
box if you don't speak or if there's a microphone. Yeah, we can get questions.
Oh, is there questions in the chat box? I wasn't looking at the chat box. Oh, I don't see any. So
No, I was just
moving
saying,
forward then.
they can also type. Yeah.
Oh, sure. Whatever is comfortable, with you. Okay, so we come into an in-depth review. First of all, the language. Short English sentences would be nice. You don't have to say, I was the 5th team member and I contributed to the something something. You can just say, you don't even have to say like I contributed to. You can start with the action word contributed to, something like that. Yeah, abbreviations. There should be like minimal abbreviations because again, should be understandable by a recruiter, which is not in your field, and also by an expert, which is in your field. So the language is a bit, a tricky sense here. Short sentences, which combines with the minimal use of and. If you have too many ands, just split the sentence. You don't have to have full English sentences. Work experience, everything. Work experience, education, everything. Most recent, put it first. And the use of action words is highly important. If you have, worked with a team, use collaborated. If you have, if you are a team lead, use led a team of 5 people in this project. So start with an action word. Specify your contributions. Also, don't go into too much details too. Like, be always careful when mentioning client names, when mentioning proprietary technologies of the company that you're working with, because this is public information. Like your resume can go into multiple companies. This is public information. So if there's anything confidential, don't put it there. Specifying metrics. So you can say maybe you have automated something. Let's say you have automated web scraping. Web scraping is already automated web scraping from Reddit, Quora, in these subreddits, in these channels, to an Excel sheet. This was done manually before. So somebody went on to that Reddit subreddit channel, searched for a keyword, and then copy pasted the text and put it up in the Excel sheet manually. So when you implemented this automation, the company did save some amount of time. The company did save some amount of money. Money, maybe you cannot probably calculate, but time you can. You can just do one batch yourself, like time it out, and then kind of roughly estimate it. That's a metric. So metrics, it requires a bit of thinking, like what did I do actually, and what did it achieve. So a bit of thinking is required, but it is very actionable. Like then you can say, hey, I automated this script and this script saved time. So that is a highlight, that is a result. And that's why we follow the STAR method. It's a situation, task, action, and result. So I started with an action word. I did this, a task, and then put it up a result as an end. It completes the picture. Education, again, most recent first, and start only from your bachelor's. So if you have master's and a PhD and multiple certifications, maybe put just the master's onwards. So it's up to you how the spacing aligns. And again, remember, it's just a one-page resume. So up to you on how to present that information. If you're looking into the educational sector, maybe put more emphasis on your education. If it is going for a tenure track, a professor, maybe put education at the top section. Present your GPAs and the location and the degree, and present all your degrees. So it depends on that particular section. Okay, so I have, if you can access, or maybe I can show you a draft of whatever I've talked. You can still see this, right? I'm just confused since I've changed the...
Yeah, we can see the document.
Cool. So this is a draft resume of whatever I talked about. Again, these things, maybe education is your most preferred thing. So put this thing at the top of, like, and start with education and then go on to experience, and then go on to technical skill sets, and then go on to research. So these treat it as a graph and treat it so that you can highlight your strengths. Treat it as an Instagram reel. And with that, I think, yeah, we can go ahead. Ooh,
I think there's a question by
yeah,
Ola. Sorry, Minu.
no worries. Yeah, sure.
Ola, you can go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mino. I just want to ask a very like two questions.
Mm-hmm.
So from what I just see just now, and I can see the way you arrange and how the resume is being arranged. I just want to be sure. Are you saying that we should follow this pattern of arranging our resume? Because I myself, while I was looking to apply to some certain, company now about software engineering and everything, so I did a little bit of research on how to write my resume and everything, and I'll just come across different format on how I should arrange the resume, how it should be to actually get a job in the tech space. Some people will say let your skill set comes first, followed by your work experience, then your education, and if
Mm-hmm.
necessary, any course you've actually taken and everything. So I'm just asking, I think that following this pattern will actually will give us a huge guarantee of getting a job, especially in the tech space.
So this is nothing can guarantee you a job. These are just best practices. And coming back to the first slide, the purpose of a resume is just to highlight you and get to that first round of interview. And then, if you're going to like, FAANG companies, there are 4 rounds of interview ahead, which your resume doesn't count at all.
Mm,
The purpose of a resume is just to land that first interview or make an impression about yourself to another person. And
mm,
as for the pattern or the drafts or the sectioning, this is a practice, or this is something that is I've been employed in India and in the US markets, so I can say that this I have got interviews at least using this resume pattern, but then I have seen 2 column resumes, very graphical resumes, and people are, they also have landed several interviews and landed multiple jobs. So this is just a template, but you can always customize this. The main highlight that I would like to, for you to take away is how to write a resume that stays with a recruiter. Do not make the recruiter confused about your name, work experience, education. That should be like crystal clear. So the pattern as such, like if you go in here, convert this to a 2 column one, wherein your name is here, there is your education skill sets here, work experience, everything here. Make it graphical. It represents you. Make it
mm,
graphical. However, do not complicate things. Like everything should be crisp to the point. Nobody has to go searching on you know, where the field that your expertise lies. That should be clear.
all
Yeah,
right.
and this is also kind of nicer for an ATS system. If you're automatically parsing a 2 column resume, uh, well, you can see on how the usual parsers work in any job recruiting portal. If you're pulling in a 2 column resume, everything is weird. Like all the placing, education would be placed, I don't know, somewhere in the work experience. Everything would be slightly weird. Um, but then I wouldn't treat that as a no-go though, because I've seen amazing 2 column resumes. Does that answer
All
your
right.
question?